loves, let's go ahead and get started because this is going to be a long one. We talked about in class how this isn't necessarily difficult. It's just time consuming. So, as a reminder, when we're picking our 3x values, we're not going to pick something that is wild or is going to give us really crazy numbers. We're going to keep it simple. So for this first one, I'm going to do x is 1, x is 2, and x is 3. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to substitute. So when my x is 1, y is 1 plus 5 is 6. When my x is 2, 2 plus 5 is 7. When my x is 3, 3 plus 5 is 8. Once I've filled in my graph, or my chart rather, now I can put it on the graph. So over 1 up 6, over 2 up 7, over 3 up 8, drawing my line, and that one is done. Over here, let's do 2, 4, 6, because I know that I'm going to have someone that's going to create coordinates that go off the graph. So let's address that. All right, 2 times 2 is 4, add 2 is 6. 4 times 2 is 8, add 2 is 10. 6 times 2 is 12, add 2 is 14. You can see that our graph only goes to 10. So what happens when you have something that goes off the graph? Just do the best you can. So over 2 up 6, over 4 up 10, over 6 up 14. Just give yourself a space, okay? There's only so much space on the worksheet, so we did the best that we could. Talked about this in class, but when we have a negative x, if I try to substitute a negative number, a negative times a negative is a positive. So go ahead and just put a positive number in. It's going to work as a negative, but if I did -1, -1 times -1 is +1, I'd have to treat this first term as a positive, okay? Keep change, change. -1 plus -3 is -4. -2 plus -3 is -5. -3 plus -3 is -6. So over 1 down 4, over 2 down 5, over 3 down 6. Draw your line and move on with your day. All right, over here, let's do 2, 3, 4. Let's go for it. All right, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 5 is -1. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 5 is 1. And 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 5 is 3. So over 2 down 1, over 3 up 1, over 4 up 3. Draw your line. That is a terribly straight line. Let's pretend that I actually crossed the points. All right, let's do 1, 3, 5. Just trying to keep it simple, keeping things that are going to be on our plate as best as we can. So we have -3 times 1 is -3, plus -1 is -4. 3 times 3 is 9, make it negative, plus -1 is -10. 5 times 3 is 15, make it negative, plus -1 is -16. Again, this one is not going to fit on the graph. It only goes out to 10. That is okay. Just do your best. All right, 1, -4, 3, -10, and then 5, -16. It's going to be even further down than that, but that's okay. Go ahead and graph it. Over here, let's do -1, -2, -3. Why not? Let's go in order. All right, so 1 times 3 is 3, but make it negative. -3 plus -3 is -6. 2 times 3 is 6, but negative. -6 plus -3 is -9. 3 times 3 is 9, but negative. Add them up, you have -12. Woo. Questions on the first page? Go ahead and bring it with you to class. I did just have this. Apparently, just erased it. -6, -9, -12. All right. Coming down here. Same skill, nothing different. Same skill. Let's do, you know what? Let's do a -1 here, just to work it through. So if I were to put a -1 in here, negative times negative is a positive. It becomes a +1. +1 plus -5 or -6 is -5. All right. 0 plus -6 is -6. And then -2 plus -6 is -8. Let's make it big. All right. Over 1 down 5, over 0 down 6, and then over 2 down 8. Draw your line, and off we go. Let's just do -2, 0, +2. 4 plus -2, opposite sign subtract, gives you 2. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. All right, -2, +2, 0, +4, and then 2, +6. Draw your line. Coming down here. Let's do 2, 4, 0. And I'm just picking arbitrary numbers. I'm keeping them small in hopes of keeping it on my graph, but you can choose whatever you want, okay? 5 times 2 is 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. 4 times 5 is 20. Oh, that's going to be big. 20 minus 7 is 13. 0 times 5 is 0. 0 minus 7 is -7. 2, 3. 4, 13 is going to be somewhere up there. And then 0, -7. And draw your line. These lines keep getting worse. All right, let's do -3, -2, -1. 3 times 2 is 6, but -6 plus 3 is 3. -2 times 2 is -4. -4 plus 3 is -1. Oh, should this have been negative? -3 is -6. Yes, that should have been negative. -1 times 2 is -2. -2 plus 3 is -1. Hold on, -2. This would be +1. Okay. My brain needs to see it. -3 minus 3, -2 minus 1, and then -1 plus 1. Draw your line. All right. Let's do 2, 0, -1. All right, -1 times 2 is -2, plus 8 is 6. Opposite subtract. 0 times -1 is 0, plus 8 is 8. And then -1 times -1 is +1, plus 8 is 9. So over 2 up 6, over 0 up 8, and then -1 up 9. Draw your line. All right, for the rest of them, I'm just going to do the chart. I'm not going to do the graphing to save some viewing time, but also because since you can choose any number, all of your graphs are going to be different. So I feel like at this point, you've seen enough examples of the graph. Let's go in and just solve out our chart. So 1, 2, 3. 4 times 1 is 4, plus -5 is -1. 2 times 4 is 8, plus -5 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12, plus -5 is 7. That's the end of page 2. You have questions, bring them to class. Coming down here. This one, it says to complete and plot. I purposely gave you one where you just have y is equal to 5. So if y is 5, x is 0. There is no x. This one cannot be solved. But we need to know that sometimes our graph does not work. We talked 2 weeks ago, last week, we talked about what happens when we have an undefined graph. And this is what you're looking at. This is going to be undefined. And that's okay. Sometimes you have undefined. Sometimes you have a 0 graph or 0 slope. That's going to be an example of that. All right, over here, let's do -2, 0, 2. 2 times 3 is 6, but negative plus 1 is -5. 0 times 3 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Going over here. Keep change. Change is always helpful for your brain. Let's do 0, 1, 2. And again, I'm just trying to use ones that would stay on the graph. You can choose anything you want. 0 times 2 is 0 plus negative 6. 1 times 2 is 2 plus negative 6. 2 times 2 is 4 plus negative 6. Over here, we'll do 0, 2, 4. 0 times negative 2 is 0, gives you a positive 4. 2 times 2 is 4, but make it negative, plus 4 is 0. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, plus 4 is negative 4. Over here, we're going to do, let's do one that wouldn't stay on the graph. Let's do 5, 10, 15, because you really can choose anything. 5 plus negative 3 is 2. 10 plus negative 3 is 7. And 15 plus negative 3 is 12. Last one would not fit on the chart at all. That is okay. Try our best to keep them on the chart, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. 0, 2, 4. So 3 times 0 is 0. 3 minus 0 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 minus 12 is negative 9. End of page 3. Questions? Go ahead and bring them. All right. Multiplying times 5. So let's do 1, 2, 3. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. Easy peasy. Over here, your x divided by 2. We talked in class about how for some of them, choosing a specific type of number is going to make your life easier. This is a perfect example of where an even number is going to be easier because an even number divided by 2 always gives you a whole number. So let's do 4, 6, 8. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 minus 4 is negative 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. If you see something like this where a specific type of number is going to make your life easier, lean into that. Okay? 3, 5, 7. Let's go odd. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus negative 1 is negative 5. 5 times 2 is 10 plus negative 1 is negative 9. We're really just subtracting 1 from that answer. 7 times 2 is 14. Oh, it's 13. Why am I saying negative? Boop, boop. All right, these should all be positive because it would have been positive 6, positive 10, positive 14, just subtracting 1 off of both of those. Let's do 2, 4, 6. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 4 is 16. 6 times 4 is 24. Don't overthink it. Sometimes I give you friendly ones. On this one, again, if you choose a negative number, negative times a negative becomes a positive. So just keep that in mind. I prefer to just plug in positive numbers, and then because when I plug them in, they become negative, it works out. Little keep change. 0 minus 4 is negative 4. Negative 1 and negative 4 is negative 5. Negative 2 and negative 4 is negative 6. All right, do a little keep change. Let's do negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. So we can get some positivity here. All right, 4 times 3 is 12. It's positive because the signs agree. 12 plus 2 is 14. 5 times 3 is 15. It's positive. Plus 2 is 17. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 2 is 20. And again, the reason that they're becoming positive is negative times a negative gives you that positive. All right. Oh, that's the end of page 4. One more. Coming downtown, coming downtown. All right, let's make some more positivity again because I have a negative. So I'm going to do a negative times a negative. Give me a positive. All right, 2 times 1 is 2. It's positive. Plus 7 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 7 is 11. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 7 is 13. And again, they're positive because our signs agree. 0, 2, 3. 2 times 0 is 0 plus negative 4. 2 times 2 is 4 plus negative 4. 2 times 3 is 6 plus negative 4. Over here, let's subtract 1, 2, 3. Keep it simple. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. 2 minus 3 is -1. 2, 3, 4. Keep, change, change. So since these would all have the same sign, negative plus a negative, they're growing. 8 plus 2 is 10. 8 plus 3, 11. 8 plus 4 is 12. Keep them negative because they're growing in their negativity. Down here, 2 more. All right, let's do -2, -4, -6. 3 times 2 is 6. The signs agree it's positive. 4 times 3 is 12. The signs agree it's positive. 6 times 3 is 18. The signs agree it's positive. And then this last one, when we're multiplying by a -1/2, again, choosing a positive number is going to make your life easier. You're simply cutting it in half and making it negative. So let's do 4, 6, 8 times -1/2 makes that 4, -2, right? Cuts it in half and makes it negative. -2 plus 2 is 0. 6 1/2 is 3, but negative. -3 plus 2 is -1. 8 1/2 is 4, but negative. -4 plus 2 is -2. Questions, comments, concerns? Go ahead and bring them with you to class.